Someone said something to you, maybe last week, maybe 3 years ago. One sentence. Could have been a coworker, a parent, an ex, a stranger on the internet who doesn't even remember typing it, and it still lives in your head. You replay it in the shower, at 2 a.m. when the room is quiet and your brain refuses to be, in the middle of conversations where you're supposed to be present, but you're really somewhere else entirely, still in that moment, still absorbing that hit. Meanwhile, the person who said it moved on before the sentence was finished. That gap between how much it destroyed you and how little it touched them, that's not a character flaw. That's not you being too sensitive. That is a live, open wound that you have never once sat still long enough to look at. And here's the thing nobody will say out loud. You will keep getting hit in that exact same spot by different people, in different rooms, in different years, over and over until it starts to feel like the whole world is against you, when really, you've just been carrying an unaddressed wound into every room you enter. That's what this video is actually about. Not becoming cold, not performing unbothered, not building a wall that eventually traps you inside your own life. This is about finally understanding why the same things keep destroying you and what it actually takes to stop. But I have to warn you, what comes next will be uncomfortable, because the honest answer is never the easy one. If you're willing to sit with that, let's begin. You've tried the standard advice. Stop caring what people think, grow thicker skin, be unbothered, protect your peace, let it go. You've tried it. You know you've tried it, and some version of you performs it well enough to fool most people, most of the time. But inside, when the door closes and the performance ends, you know the truth. The hits still land, the silence still stings, the rejection still echoes in places you can't reach. So why doesn't the armor work? Because armor is the wrong solution to the actual problem. Here is the brutal, clarifying truth. You don't keep getting wounded because your walls aren't high enough. You keep getting wounded because the wound already lives inside you, and all the armor in the world just seals it in the dark where it quietly grows. Think about it this way. When someone's careless comment demolishes your entire week, they didn't create that pain. They found pain that was already there, unnamed and unaddressed, waiting for exactly that trigger. The comment was just a key that unlocked what you'd been locking away for years. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who spent his entire life mapping the interior world, said something that should change how you see all of this. We are not what happens to us. We are what we decide to become. That's not a motivational poster. That's a precise description of the choice that is available to you right now, in this moment, if you're willing to take it. The real goal was never to feel nothing. It was never to become distant or hollow or unreachable. It was to become so known to yourself, so clear about your own interior, that nothing outside of you can introduce you to yourself in a way that breaks you. That's not hardness, that's integration, and it is the only thing that has ever actually worked. If you're still watching, this message found you for a reason. This is for the person who is exhausted from performing strength they don't feel, exhausted from hurting over things they think they shouldn't hurt over, exhausted from the constant, grinding suspicion that other people have some kind of emotional immunity that you were simply never given. I'm going to show you a completely different way of understanding this. But first, you'll need to be honest with yourself about something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Are you ready? Good. Let's go deeper. You've been treating this as an outside problem. Other people's behavior, their words, their choices, their silences, their betrayals. You've been trying to control, predict, manage, and outsmart the external world so it stops having access to you. And every time it fails, you tell yourself you just need to try harder, be more guarded, care less, build higher. But here's what Jung showed us, and what decades of depth psychology has confirmed. Outer pain is not the source. it is a mirror. When something external wounds you, it's not creating damage from scratch. It's reflecting something that was already unresolved inside you. The wound lives in your interior, and the outside world simply keeps finding it. That's why one person can walk through absolute devastation, a loss, a betrayal, a total collapse, and still function. And another person can fall completely apart over a tone of voice, a delayed text message, a look across a room. It is not about the severity of the event. It is about where the arrow lands when it hits. And here is the hardest truth in this entire video. You are still suffering this much after all this time because some part of you still believes you can control how the world treats you. You keep raising the bar on yourself. Be better, be smarter, be more understanding, be more lovable, as if there is some version of you that would finally be bulletproof against being hurt. But that version doesn't exist. Control is a hallucination, and the tighter you grip it, the more exhausted and exposed you become, spending all of your energy predicting, avoiding, managing, and still getting blindsided by the same things in new disguises. Do you actually want the suffering to stop? Then stop trying to control the outside. Start looking at the inside. Your freedom begins when other people change. It doesn't begin when circumstances get easier or people treat you better. It begins the moment you understand that external events only have real power when they find an open wound inside you that you haven't yet faced. That brings us to the real territory, the unconscious, the part of you that you cannot see, cannot name, and cannot talk yourself out of, but that is making every significant decision in your life right now without your knowledge. Have you ever reacted to something and immediately thought, where did that come from? The rage that appeared out of nowhere, the devastation over something small, the pattern you swore you'd never repeat playing out in perfect detail, the self-sabotage that arrives precisely when things are finally going well. You didn't choose any of that. It arrived. And then you spent the next several hours or days managing the fallout. Jung described it with a precision that still cuts through everything. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Not philosophy, not metaphor. That is a description of what is happening to you in real time. Jung named the territory where all of this originates. He called it the shadow. Not a horror concept, something exact and operational. The shadow is the collection of everything you decided, usually very young, usually under pressure, was too dangerous to show the world. Your rage, your grief, your neediness, your hunger to be truly seen, your terror that at the center of you there is something fundamentally unacceptable. You didn't delete those parts, you buried them. You shoved them below the surface where they couldn't embarrass you or make you vulnerable, and you built a version of yourself on top of the burial site and called it your personality. But buried things do not die. They operate in the dark, quietly, consistently, without your permission. Here's how you know your shadow is running the show. When someone's comment hits you with a force that is obviously disproportionate to what was said, that is your shadow identifying a live wire, a wound that has never been faced, now being touched. When you feel immediate, irrational contempt for someone you barely know, that is often your shadow recognizing something you've disowned in yourself and hate seeing reflected. When you choose the same relationship dynamic over and over, just in different clothes with different names, your shadow has preferences and they override your conscious ones every single time. Jung was plain about what this costs you. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not free you, it crushes you. You have spent years judging, silencing, and burying the parts of yourself that felt too messy, too needy, too much, and none of that made those parts go away. It just drove them underground, where they now express themselves as anxiety you can't source, relationships you can't stop repeating, and a persistent sense that something is wrong with you that you cannot name. How many more years are you willing to give to that? If you want to become someone who cannot be destroyed from the outside, you have to stop running from what lives on the inside, because the more you armor yourself against the world, the more exposed you remain to yourself, and that is the only enemy that actually matters. There is a way through, but it's not what you were taught, and that's what comes next. Most people believe that emotional strength is about not letting things in. Build the wall, shut the doors, perfect the expression that says nothing reaches you. But inside that fortress, they are still bleeding, still replaying, still corroding slowly in the dark where no one can see. The problem was never that you feel too much. The problem is that you feel without understanding. You react without knowing the source. You suffer without ever asking what the suffering is actually trying to tell you. Jung put it with a precision that stays with me. Know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when you touch a human soul, be just another human soul. The soul you keep buried behind an untouchable persona is screaming to be known. Not fixed, not silenced, known. This is what Jung called individuation, becoming who you actually are, rather than who you had to become to survive your particular circumstances. Not who your parents needed you to be, not the character you constructed to earn love and avoid rejection. What emerges when the performance finally stops and you meet the real thing underneath. Individuation is not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. And it requires three things that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The first is noticing without verdict. The next time something hits you, jealousy, shame, sudden rage, that specific hollow feeling when someone else succeeds, don't push it away. Don't explain it away. Don't immediately look for who to blame. Just notice it. Sit with it long enough to ask, what is actually living here? What part of me is this connected to that I haven't yet looked at? Not, why is that person wrong? Not, why am I like this? Just, what is this showing me? The second is staying present with discomfort instead of sedating it. Jung saw depression, anxiety, and the unbearable weight of unresolved emotion differently from most. He called them messages from the unconscious. He said, depression is like a lady in black. If she appears, don't push her away. Invite her to sit. Listen to what she has to say. Every time you pick up your phone to disappear, every time you stay frantically busy to avoid a feeling, every time you numb yourself with anything, food, content, noise, other people's drama, you are refusing a message that will simply come back louder next time. The third is the hardest, taking complete ownership of your interior. As long as your emotional state depends on someone else's behavior, as long as you're waiting for an apology, for people to change, for circumstances to finally be fair, you have handed the entire contents of your inner life to forces you cannot control. Your triggers are yours. Your wounds are yours. Your patterns are yours. That is not a punishment. It is the most liberating truth available to you, because it means the path forward is also yours. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can block it. It exists inside you, right now, accessible the moment you decide to look. Let me be honest about what this process does and does not produce. It does not make you feel nothing. People who have done this work often feel more than before, more present, more moved, more fully alive in moments that used to slide past them. What changes is the relationship between the feeling and the fall. Before this work, something hits you. You lose yourself in it. Hours or days disappear into the wreckage. After this work, something hits you. You feel it fully. You know where it comes from. You move through it without disappearing. That is the difference between a tree with no roots and a tree with deep ones. The same storm moves through both. only one survives it standing. I will warn you about something real. When you begin this work, you will get lonelier before you get freer, because most people around you are invested in the version of you that stays on the surface, plays the role, doesn't disturb the arrangement by wanting something true. When you start changing at this level, some relationships quietly dissolve, not because you've become cold or superior, because you no longer fit the spaces where you used to hide. That is not loss. That is what it looks like when you finally outgrow a cage. And when you arrive on the other side of that loneliness, when you have looked at your own shadow, named your own wounds, owned your own patterns, the world may still send its careless words and broken promises and deliberate cruelties, but it won't find anywhere to land the hit, because you will already know everything about yourself that anyone could ever try to use against you. You will have already met your monsters, already looked into the eyes of your own shame and rage and neediness and said, "I see you. You no longer control me." That internal clarity, knowing yourself that completely, is the only protection that has ever been real. This is the work. Not a technique, not a mindset, a daily choice to look inward even when it burns, to take responsibility for everything you feel, to stop waiting for the world to change before you allow yourself to be whole. Jung said it simply, what you resist persists, what you accept transforms. You've spent a long time resisting. You're exhausted from it. I can see it in the fact that you're still here. So let this be the moment you stop. If something in this video reached something real in you, drop one word in the comments. Just one word for what you've been carrying. Not for me, for you. Because naming it out loud is the first act of integration. The next video continues exactly where this one ends, not as theory, but as a daily practice you can actually use. Don't stop here. Real transformation is cumulative. It compounds, and it begins the moment you refuse to run. I'll see you there.